Everybody, I'm Steve Stivers, CEO of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome everybody to the Ohio Clean Hydrogen Hub Alliance press event, and we're happy to host you here at the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. You know, when Hyperion announced in February that they were moving their headquarters to Columbus, Ohio, the business community was thrilled. Hyperion actually started here. Angela went to Ohio State, but they'd moved to Southern California shortly after starting. And I'm super excited that they're going to be making some of America's coolest cars right here in Columbus, Ohio. But the significance of their investment goes beyond cool. They're going to create about 700 new jobs for Ohio and bolster our clean fuels economy right here in Ohio. And it's going to be a win-win for Ohio and for our climate. Hydrogen is the future of not only vehicles, but fuel. When Congress passed the bipartisan infrastructure deal last November, it committed to invest in expansion of clean energy in general. As a result, the Ohio Clean Hydrogen Hub Alliance was formed. The alliance wants to work to ensure that some of those federal dollars are utilized in a way that benefits Ohio's clean energy development, particularly through the creation of a hydrogen hub right here in Ohio. It's no secret that some of our short-term problems with our current energy are that, number one, energy demand continues to grow as raw materials like oil and coal and natural gas, are diminished over time. Fossil fuel increases the tension between nations. As a soldier, I had to go to Iraq, and I can tell you that we end up going to places that have fossil fuels more often than other countries right now, and so it does create some long-term problems there. And of course, fossil fuel emissions impact our air quality, and that can become more harmful over time. Hydrogen fixes a lot of those problems. Hydrogen is less harmful to our environment, and in fact, hydrogen vehicles emit one thing: water, and water is a good thing. Hydrogen can be produced locally, which means it can be produced anywhere. That puts the power to self-sustain back into the hands of America, back into the hands of Ohioans. It also lessens the threat of dwindling materials because it can be created and recreated. Moving hydrogen production closer to home also means jobs for Ohioans, so we're proud of all that. Ohio is uniquely qualified to become a leader in the hydrogen economy. Ohio is the 7th largest labor force, and we have we make things in Ohio. We have great manufacturing jobs here, and I think that is very critical. Ohio is the 3rd largest state for manufacturing employment. We've always been known as a place that makes things, and Hyperion's investment, Intel's investment, shows that we still make things in Ohio. A number of leading university research centers here in Ohio give us the opportunity to help train in the STEM fields that will be useful to energy into the future. And Ohio, of course, has a low cost of living and a high quality of life. Our physical location puts us within 1 day's drive of 60% of America's population. So we're ideally located and situated for the future of energy, which is hydrogen. I'm thankful for the collaboration with OH2 Alliance and the work they've done. I really want to say thank you to everybody for being here, and I get the opportunity to be your MC today and introduce some really amazing people who have done great things and are doing great things to move the future of hydrogen energy right here to Ohio. Our first speaker is Lou Von Thaer, who's CEO of Battelle. Battelle's the largest independent, nonprofit, applied science and technology organization in the world. It's headquartered right here in Columbus, and its goal is to use scientific and technological principles to create new innovations that drive our society and economies forward. Lou, please come forward.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Well, thanks, Steve, and it's really my pleasure to be here today. At Battelle, we're very interested in helping the country chart its next path. As Steve mentioned, the government's making big investments, and I think we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity. The bipartisan infrastructure law enacted in November includes more than $62 billion in it to support clean, low-carbon energy transition, which we know is going to be a multi-decade thing. I know some folks want that to happen overnight. It's just not practical, and we have a lot of work to do and a lot more to learn, but we're well on our way. The bill directs $8 billion to funding for the Department of Energy to develop regional clean hydrogen hubs, and the goal is to eventually have about four to six of these hubs around the country that will look at many key areas for how we'll actually take the feedstock, using multiple kinds of feedstock that can let us look at different ways, different economies, different things, and see what really works. It's easy to talk about how great these things are at a small scale. We really need to demonstrate that we can do large scales, that we can move it, that we can manage it. And we see activities where we've had hydrogen in our economy for a long time with fuel cells. You see hydrogen fleets, our national laboratories, which Battelle is fortunate enough to be able to manage a number of, have been working hydrogen for a number of years. So it's time to take the next step, and we see the Ohio being very well positioned in here. The Northern Appalachian region is well suited for this because of the natural gas, and also because the geology is set up to be able to do carbon sequestration. So even in areas where we still might use carbon in the short term and the transition period to create hydrogen, we can actually sequester that carbon dioxide and put it back into the ground where it came from. And we've done work for over 25 years that shows that we can actually do that. Our region is also a diversified base of production, as Steve talked about, and you've seen the work that we're doing in trying to build a team that includes not only Ohio, but the western part of Pennsylvania and the northern part of West Virginia. The interconnected across those areas gives us a scale that can really make a difference for our country and cover much of the Midwest. You know, hydrogen really offers an opportunity to change and to help us speed getting off fossil fuels in the coming years. And the feedstocks I mentioned earlier, everything from biomass to natural gas to renewable energy to nuclear energy can be used to actually create the hydrogen that can then be transported and used as a clean energy around our economy. In the mid to near term, we have a lot to learn. We'll do a lot of experimentation. We'll do studies of this for the first year if we're fortunate to win one of these studies. And then the goal is to transition on to build one of these hubs. The CO2 produced as a byproduct, as I mentioned, can be sequestered, and there's $12 billion in the bill to actually support carbon capture and storage development across the economy. Battelle's working very closely with this team and really trying to build what I would call a highly distributed. Just like we have fossil fuels today, we are able to cart those fuels, we're able to put gas in pipelines, we can get them to the right places for users. Part of our challenge, building out electric vehicles and things, is getting that infrastructure in place, getting the charge times to where they work quickly. Hydrogen gives us another way to actually look at this and build a fuel that can be clean once it's made and can be transported through a variety of reasons, including some of our already existing infrastructure. And I know there's a lot of folks who just want to use solar and wind for everything, and those are great technologies. We should keep using those, but they're never going to meet the requirements of some of our heavy industries like steel, cement, heavy air transportation, and heavy shipping. The batteries would take up the whole ship. You wouldn't actually have any cargo to be able to cover the areas you want to go through. So this is the government doing what they're supposed to do. They're being very aggressive to support the R&D, support the early build-out and scaling with these plans, and for us to prove to see what works and then adopt those things and let our private industry scale them the way that we know this country can do better than any other. Ohio also sits in a great place. Not only are we close to the population, but we have the right geologies here, and we've already started in Ohio working on 4 target markets for hydrogen, including industry, transportation, and you'll hear more about these after myself, power generation, and commercial residential heating. In the corridor along the Ohio River Valley, there's an existing gas infrastructure which is possible to carry hydrogen with mixes of natural gas and separate from natural gas as we learn more and learn how to build that efficiency. And while blue hydrogen is the primary focus of this proposed hub that we're focused on for DOE, we'll also be looking at areas of all of the above approaches, everything from feedstocks to biomass and other things that this part of the country has large reserves of. So Battelle's very proud to be part of this team and in working with the group. We've been working very close to help build and help put the team together, and we're well down the path of, I think in the next several weeks, we'll actually be announcing the members of the team as we form. We expect to be in a position, and as I mentioned, Battelle on the carbon sequestration side has been involved with this for more than 25 years. Our national laboratories have been working for decades on hydrogen and developed a lot of the technologies that our innovative companies are taking today to run out into the market. And this fits up our alley because Battelle was founded by Gordon Battelle 97 years ago. And Gordon's idea was take technology and science and use it to advance society. And we've been doing that for almost 100 years and very proud of it. So thanks, Steve. It's great to be here.
Great job, Lou. And there's nobody that I think we'd rather have on our side as we move into the research and development of hydrogen and the future of hydrogen than Battelle, who runs the national labs and who is an amazing research partner. So we are so excited to have you on the team. Now I get a chance to introduce Angelo Kenfataris, who's the CEO of Hyperion. Hyperion is a company that is going to make hydrogen vehicles. An amazing vehicle is out in the parking lot. I hope you get a chance to take a look at it. But I want all of you to hear Hyperion Motors' story and the story of hydrogen and the future of clean, sustainable energy for the world. Angelo, please come on up. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me. All right. How's everybody doing today? Pretty good? All right. So, I think a lot of people know about battery electric technology, and they understand how that works. But not a lot of people understand how hydrogen fits into that and why hydrogen is so much different and sometimes better. You see, when you think about hydrogen, there's a number of things that have applications. Most people don't know is can it only be used for cars and transportation, but it's also used to store energy on very, very large scales. Also, it can be used as industrial gas for many other applications. Louis mentioned a lot of those already. The beauty of hydrogen, makes it different from batteries, is batteries can be used for certain applications in small scale. But hydrogen, not just large scale, but many diverse applications. And many energy companies today are projecting that hydrogen will be the leading energy source moving forward. They're saying by 2050, it will be an $11 trillion industry. I mean, that will overtake all other energy industries. And if we're smart, we can get a head start on that and be a big part of that economy. And that's what we're trying to do here today with this Hub Alliance, right? So Ohio is very well positioned with its research and its workforce to be a leader in this area. And it's one of the reasons why we came back. As mentioned, we did start here. We had to leave because that's where the hydrogen infrastructure was at the time, and that's where it is today in California. What can we do moving forward? What we can do in Ohio is build an infrastructure here, and that's what Hyperion wants to help to do. There needs to be infrastructure, there needs to be investment, there needs to be a focus. And we think that together with government, we can make that happen right here in this great state. And so Hyperion, you will see the car outside, the XP1, and that's really a demonstration vehicle to really extol the benefits of hydrogen. And just to name a few, very, very fast recharging, 3 to 5 minutes, right? Very, very long range. That car can go 1,000 miles range. It's not because we're geniuses at technology, it's because hydrogen has the benefit of extremely low weights. The more hydrogen you add, you don't pay that weight penalty. So now you have this really great resource that can work just like your internal combustion engine, except now the byproduct is water. And what's better is you can start with water and create hydrogen from that using electrolysis. And so that's a technology that we focus on as well, is using electrolysis to generate hydrogen and then using a fuel cell to take that hydrogen, turning it into electricity. And this is a total circle, right, as you can see. And that's beautiful because now we're not dependent on another country. We've traded hostilities with oil and gas to now future hostilities with lithium ions, right? where are all this lithium, where's it coming from? It's not coming from America. It's coming from different countries that don't like us so much. And just to echo what was said, we need to be a self-sustaining economy. We can do that right here. We can do that in Ohio. We can do that in the United States. And with the support of the government, we can make that happen in a very big way. And we can do that, and we will do that. And so, yes, we're invested here. Hyperion is invested into this community. Hyperion is excited to be here. It's a homecoming for us. And we're excited to move things forward. We're excited to show you the car outside. But just remember, the car is a way to tell a story. It's not really about the car. It's about what hydrogen can be for us, right? What it means for this country, what it means for energy. And so I want to tell that story. And that story is electrolysis. That story is starting from water, using electrolysis to create energy in large volume and distributing that to 5 different industrial areas, all that use hydrogen already today, that can be an economy for us to move forward, a springboard for us. So thank you for having me. We're excited. I'm excited to talk to all of you. If you have any questions about hydrogen, about Hyperion, about what we want to do in the future, and why it's so important that we come together in the state and even local states with this Hub Alliance. Kurt's done a great job bringing people together. He's going to continue to do that, being an advocate for hydrogen. And we need to really unify and get together and push hydrogen forward, because it could be the biggest thing that ever happened in this whole region. So again, thank you everyone for everyone's time, and look forward to talking to each of you soon. Okay, and I think Kurt's coming up here next, right?
Perfect.
Kurt,
Good job.
get up here.
Steve, I'd like to thank you for hosting this today. It was great that you were able to do this. And Lou and the Battelle team, I would like to thank you for helping us. I know I think there for a while we were pestering everybody within Battelle to help come through this, but we really believe that you're the partner we needed to bring this hydrogen hub to Ohio. And Angela, I'd like to thank you also for your support in bringing the car to Ohio. It does says that Ohio is really the place where this industry can happen. I did want to share with you Sarda's story, and you may wonder why we're involved in this. We actually have the 3rd largest fuel cell fleet in the country outside of California. I also like to say that there's no fuel cell buses or vehicles in South or Central America, so we're the 3rd largest in the Western Hemisphere. You can always be the largest at anything if you frame it correctly. But I think our experience does kind of give us the roadmap for how Ohio can lead this hub effort and where we're going. Our odyssey started about 7 or 8 years ago, and kind of like Angelo, somebody would ask you, what is hydrogen? They'd say it's the #1 element on the periodic table, and that's all they knew about it. Whenever we released our RFP to build our hydrogen station in Canton, we got one responsive RFP, or bidder back. And just to show you how the industry has changed, I have people now, cold callers, trying to call in and sell me hydrogen on the phone, if they're not busy trying to sell me a car warranty. And we begin to learn more and more about that. We've been involved in a lot of R&D efforts over the last several years. We were doing the first trial of a Goodyear tire, low resistance tire at SARTA. We've also just done another project with Nice Energy America. And so some people actually kind of say that we're running our own little Frankenstein's laboratory at SARTA. But we really have believed in pushing this technology forward through R&D and research. And really, our investment has really started to move forward. Our vehicles have put almost 700,000 miles on the road. And since 2015, with our migration to CNG and fuel cell vehicles, we've cut our emissions by about 1,700 metric tons of CO2 by using this technology. The commitment is real, and we're starting to see this happen all across the country. And I also believe that Ohio can be a leadership role in this space. We started this Hub Alliance with Dominion, Cleveland State, in early January to try to secure this hub. We believe very strongly in that. And since then, more than 140 companies have joined our effort, which I was surprised that many actually would. With this hub and with this moving forward, we're going to have R&D moving forward, and really what we want to try to accomplish here in the Midwest is something that can be replicated not only across the country, but across the world. So I would like to thank the Chamber for hosting us today, also for your ongoing support. And if you have time, come out and take a look at Angelo's car. It's pretty slick. His folks was cleaning his car, and I asked him if they could come over and clean my bus too. But he said we'd work on a MOU later to do that. Once you're done looking at that, if you want to, we're actually going to take a bus ride on the fuel cell vehicle if you want to see what one sounds like. The interesting thing about the fuel cell vehicle, when you're on the bus, it used to be a rattle trap, and people would try to talk over the diesel vehicle, or the diesel engine. The funny thing now is it's so quiet that you have to whisper so everybody doesn't hear what you're talking about. So it's a really interesting experience. So with that, I'll turn it back to Steve.
Thanks. That was great, Kurt, for everybody to hear. I want to let everybody know, not only is there one of the Hyperion cars in the parking lot, there's a giant bus in the parking lot. And Lou talked about, the scale of hydrogen and the fact that, like, if you had a battery-powered, an electric-powered bus, the batteries would be super heavy in that thing. The hydrogen is not. And so it can do a lot more. So for heavy industrial things like buses, hydrogen really is the future. And when Angelo was talking, I had sort of an aha moment that Ohio has the chance to be the Texas of hydrogen. Like, it can really be the future of our economy. Think about all the stuff that happens all throughout Texas and in Houston and the big deal it is in their economy. Hydrogen could do that for Ohio's economy. It's a giant deal. Next, I want to introduce Matt Sobolski, who is Director of Shale Energy and Petrochemicals at Jobs Ohio. Jobs Ohio has done an amazing job of helping us in Ohio as they helped bring Intel to Ohio, but they're also supporting this important move toward hydrogen. We have world-class corporations, entrepreneurs, and talented individuals here in Ohio, but Jobs Ohio tells our story and advocates for bringing more economic impact and activity to Ohio. I want to thank Matt, and I want to welcome him to talk about hydrogen and the things Jobs Ohio is doing. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon, everyone. I think Steve set it up well. Jobs Ohio, we've been around for about 11 years, and our sole mission is to grow the economy in the state of Ohio through economic development. That's working with companies that are already located here and attracting new opportunities, and we focus on 10 industry sectors. Energy and chemicals is the one that I'm over. It's pretty broad, and about 18 months ago, I reached out to our partners at Cleveland State University, who we do some studies with on the shale gas development side. And at that time, I said, hey, I want to understand our strengths and weaknesses and some gaps that we have on industrial hydrogen, because a lot of times we're competing with the Gulf of Mexico, Louisiana, and Houston area that have a great deal of hydrogen pipelines for industrial purposes. So we started to outline this potential study, and then about 10 months ago, we changed the scope of that as we started to learn more about the color spectrum, as I call it, on hydrogen: green, blue, pink, etc. And then with the passage of the infrastructure bill last fall, we realized that we had to expand that scope of the study and still focus on the industrial side and understand where we could benefit our companies that either are here or looking to locate in Ohio, but also take a longer view and say industrial gases are one thing, transportation fuels, storage, kind of that whole spectrum, and understanding what the timelines might be moving forward. And then looping in carbon capture sequestration, what are the benefits and potential constraints that we have there. So we just released the study last week. I think it was about 18 months from start to finish. And really it talks about our perfect position as a state to lead the country, as Steve mentioned, towards this hydrogen evolution. The really cool thing I see, because natural gas is a big part of my focus when working on projects, is this still helps support the industry that's prevalent throughout the state of Ohio, West Virginia, Western Pennsylvania, with natural gas production through all the shale development over the last 11 years. But it also leads to cleaner emissions when you're looking at blue hydrogen, carbon capture sequestration, and then the evolution towards more renewable power that could eventually lead to more green hydrogen production. And that's important to companies that are either located here that want to expand or looking to locate new operations in the state. Companies now with their ESG standards, net zero commitments over the next 25 years, they want to locate in states that are focused on kind of this next evolution of energy. And by Ohio positioning ourselves for this hub, it sends the message to companies throughout the United States and throughout the world that we're open for business for this new energy transition. I think one of the things for us to succeed on this Department of Energy effort specifically is tri-state cooperation. And I say tri-state because we've worked with Western Pennsylvania and West Virginia on some other shale gas initiatives. And I see that being an important step, sending the right message to the U.S. Department of Energy that these states within this area are prime for investment from DOE. And then when you combine that with the private sector investments that are being committed, the companies that are signed up with this group, some of the companies that are based in Western Pennsylvania but have footprints in Ohio, West Virginia, I think that tells the right story both to Washington, D.C. and then globally as we're looking for more private sector investment moving forward. So we're excited about being a partner to this, and we see this as a huge selling point to our companies that we serve and communities that we serve through the Jobs Ohio network. Thank you again.
Thanks, Matt. Great job. And between you and Lou, I think, the blue hydrogen we create with carbon sequestration, maybe we've invented turquoise hydrogen now. So we're moving toward green, I think. And but that your commitment to helping make sure this hydrogen investment happens in Ohio is central to making it happen. Thanks, Matt, and thanks to Jobs Ohio.